Welcome everyone to our webinar, What is Speechcraft? Over the past few months, District 91 has hosted a series of educational webinars to share knowledge, to inspire, and to support all of our clubs and members in the district to succeed. They've all been fantastic, and I encourage all of you to check them out. You can find all the recordings on the D91 Toastmasters YouTube channel, which you can search for. My name is Garlok Chung. I'm part of the club growth team, and I'm pleased to introduce the panel chair for this webinar, Emmanuel Karamagi. Emmanuel is a member of Speakers of Croydon Club. For the past 9 years, Emmanuel has held multiple officer roles at his club and at district level. But his real passion is Speechcraft, helping people advance their professional and personal communication through a condensed version of the Toastmasters member experience. He has successfully run these courses for many years. In this webinar, Emmanuel is going to explain how you can benefit from running Speechcraft at your club, alongside experienced panelists who will share their experience and best practice. So everyone, please give your applause and welcome to Emmanuel Karamagi.
Good afternoon, Toastmasters and friends. Thank you, Gallo, for that wonderful introduction. My name is Emmanuel, as you already know. I am passionate about Speechcraft for several reasons. One, it introduces the Toastmaster program, condensed as it is, to any newbie, but also it helps you, the person, as a Toastmaster, to grow in so many ways as you participate in Speechcraft, either as coordinator or as a guide. But let's start from the beginning. What is Speechcraft? The latest definition of Speechcraft on Pathways is it's a blended learning program designed to provide optimal support for learners interested in building their communication and speaking skills. So you can see the emphasis there is on learners. A learner can be a newbie in Toastmasters or someone who's not a Toastmaster whatsoever. But then there are certain salient features of Speechcraft that we should bear in mind. One, it's a membership building tool. It's a primary membership building tool. The second aspect of Speechcraft we should be aware of is it's not a fundraising tool, i.e. the club cannot use it to make, to replenish its coffers, if you like. So joining me today are individuals who've been on this path of delivering Speechcraft in various capacities. I have chosen these individuals because, one, I've been following them over the years. We've worked together, but also the other thing that I know is they are sticklers to the rule of the book in as far as anything Toastmasters is concerned. So let me introduce your panel, ladies and gentlemen. The first person I'll introduce is somebody who's been a Toastmaster since 2010. This person has held different roles in the club. They've been a president, VPE, VPM. They've served on the district in different capacities. And most importantly for this webinar, this person has been both a Speechcraft guide and also Speechcraft coordinator. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Adrian Moe. The next person I'll introduce is someone who's been a Toastmaster for maybe just over 20 months, arrived to Toastmasters via Speechcraft, progressed to be a Speechcraft coordinator, and is presently a VPE of her club. She's also a previous VPM. Ladies and gentlemen, Patricia Goka. And the other person I'll introduce is somebody who is relatively new to Toastmasters, but came via Speechcraft, is now the VPPR of the club, and crucially, this person is going to be leading the marketing process of the Speechcraft program that will be delivered for his club in January. Ladies and gentlemen, Ruben Segaran. And that is your Speechcraft panel. Now, I'm going to be asking these individuals leading questions, but the questions are designed to show how Speechcraft is delivered, what goes on in the background, on delivery, and the aftercare. Let me dive in very fast. Speechcraft is all about the success and failure of Speechcraft is all about planning. How you plan and how you distribute the roles, everything that you have to do makes or break the delivery of the system. To take us through that planning process, and here I'm looking for when do you start? Why do you start at that time? When do you actually, what is involved who is involved in the planning process? Which wings of the club you bring together? I'll put that question to Adrian Moore. Adrian, when is the planning process? When should it begin, in your opinion?
Well, I'll give you two answers to that question. Firstly, it should begin at the very beginning when the committee takes office and you're planning the program for the 8th year. When are you going to have contests? When are you going to have open houses? When are you going to have Speechcraft? So yeah, so at that point when you're thinking this is what the program for the year looks like, that's the point at which you should start planning Speechcraft. It should be in the calendar. In terms of actually delivering the event, I would say you would start at least 8 weeks in advance, because there are a number of things that need to happen to deliver successful Speechcraft. And if you give yourself time, 8 weeks, maybe even 3 months, if you give yourself time, you can deliver without too much stress, build a team and deliver without stress on the people who need to deliver it.
Thank you very much for that. And I'm curious to learn what exactly happens here. You mentioned that the planning should begin at the very beginning of term, I'm assuming the club officer's term. Is it something that should be organized and planned only by the committee, or is it something that involves the whole club?
Definitely, it involves the whole club. I mentioned the planning starts when the committee takes office, because over the course of the year, you have a program, you have a strategy for club growth, you have a strategy for education and so on, and Speechcraft is very much part of those things. But in terms of planning the event, it's not a one-man show. You have a coordinator who's responsible, or a pair of coordinators. In our clubs, the Speakers of Croydon, we have 10 Speechcraft. We tend to have 10 places, so we have 2 coordinators. You have coordinators who are responsible for overseeing and delivering the event, but it's a team. It's a much wider team involved in the club. You've got the coordinators, you have the treasurer, because there's a cost element, there's a pricing element to this. You have the vice president, public relations, who needs to promote the event, get people through the door. The vice president membership, whose role is looking after the members of the club. People coming in, the vice president of education, who is responsible for the education program, and Speechcraft is very much part of that. So those are the people, but you have other people coming in who at various points will be contributing to the effort. So it's a club project. It involves the whole club.
Thank you. I remember being asked to be a Speechcraft guide. Back then, it used to be my starting in Speechcraft was when the manuals were still in place before it became a digital aspect. I remember being asked to be a guide. I didn't know what that meant. I didn't know why. I didn't know what I would have to do, but slowly I was taken through the processes and taught what I needed to do. I'm curious to know, is in this planning process, where the guides are concerned, must there be any kind of training, or is it just somebody who's let's say somebody who's been a Toastmaster for some time? what I'm looking for here is there any specific training within Speechcraft for the person to be a guide?
Okay. Straight off the top of my head, I do not remember seeing the role of guide in the Toastmaster material. In our particular club, what we have done is assigned experienced members of the club who have experience of mentoring others, because the guide's role is to support and mentor their Speechcraft participants throughout the program. When, for example, they have speeches to deliver, helping them with those speeches. They will take on roles such as a Speechcrafter will be involved in evaluating the speeches of their fellow Speechcrafters, helping them with that, and making sure that they're supported throughout the program. So what I would say, there might not necessarily be a training program, but you're selecting people who are experienced Toastmasters, who are experienced in mentoring members of the club, whose skills, their delivery skills are above par, because they'll be delivering educationals at some point. And also they have a clear brief. This is what your role involves: supporting the Speechcrafter, mentoring the Speechcrafter through the program, making sure that they have somebody they can come to with questions they can ask to support. So yeah, so I would say not a training program, but a very clear brief for the guides.
So in other words, the guide is the first port of call for the Speechcrafter.
Exactly. The coordinator cannot do it all alone. The coordinator has a number of jobs to do. Yeah, so having the guides, and there are two advantages to having the guide. One, each Speechcrafter is being looked after by an individual. The guide is their first port of contact. They're being supported. The coordinator can focus on the overall delivery, the overall coordination of the program. And you and me delivered Speechcraft where it was the two of us running it. I don't recommend a coordinator looking after 5 Speechcraft participants, or 2 of them looking after 10 Speechcraft. The role of the guide is crucial in making sure that our Speechcrafters are cared for and supported throughout the journey.
Thank you, Adrian. Let's go to Patricia. Patricia, you've been a Speechcrafter and a Speechcraft coordinator. The last time you were a coordinator was just a few months ago. And I believe you're the one who dug up the statistics of your club having a conversion rate of between 70 and 90% participants to members.
Yeah, this year when we ran it, it was 90%. This year, I think it varies year to year, but this term, it was 90%.
So I would like to know from you, in terms of delivery, the planning has been put in place. You've got the Speechcrafters in place. You've got the coordinators in place. What exactly works for good delivery?
Okay, so I think what we need to remember is that the Speechcraft course is a predefined module. So it has specific topics to cover each week. So those are your meeting themes, which I encourage everyone to follow, just to make the whole planning and execution easy. And also each meeting is a regular in effect following a regular Toastmasters meeting. So we don't need anything different, anything new or fancy. It's a case of execute your regular meetings. It's just that the people who are speaking are a self-contained group of the participants that have signed up, and all of the supporting meeting roles, which you have in a regular regular Toastmaster meeting, are your club members. So that makes everything a lot more easy to run on a weekly basis. In terms of executing, communication is key. So communication between the coordinator and the guides each week to make sure that, making sure they're turning up, they're going to turn up every week, they're in contact with the participants they're assigned to, and also getting that feedback from the participants if they're struggling, if they have any challenges, so you can sort of address that during the meeting. And also there is communication with the members, because we need all of them to sign up for roles. So you still need a timekeeper. If you've got time in the agenda for a grammarian, you need a table topics master. So all of these roles still need to be filled. So it's making sure you've got everyone signed up in advance, if possible, and you're on top of that week to week and checking in to make sure everyone is doing their roles. So you still need a sergeant at arms as well. So make sure the room is set up every week, not forgetting that, refreshments. So you have to think about what's needed for a regular Toastmaster meeting, make sure those points are covered off. And communication between the guides, the participants, your members. And if you need to address anything week to week, then you can as well.
Thank you very much. So from your submission there, am I true in understanding that the Speechcraft cannot stand on itself? Every member has a crucial role to play. At least the majority of the club is involved in daily running of Speechcraft.
Absolutely. So some of the feedback I got this year from some of the guides who didn't join Toastmasters via Speechcraft is they found it beneficial because every meeting there is an educational speech from one of the existing members. So it could be on body language, vocal varieties. So the guides told me that they benefited a lot from attending. So because they never had that, because they're just joining the club, they didn't get the specific educationals as part of their journey. So they benefited and they thought, yes, it was a win-win situation in terms of helping participants. So it's developing leadership skills, communication skills, and and sort of mentoring and guiding and sort of being a buddy along the way. So they found it. So it's definitely a win-win situation for all of the guides as well.
One thing I picked up a long time ago when I delivered Speechcraft was it's an opportunity for the club to show what it can do, what it can achieve, what is possible to achieve, and what it can do. When a participant comes to Speechcraft, what they're looking at also is the dynamics within the club. And these dynamics help that participant to try to reach a decision whether or not to stay or go after the course, after the program is delivered. So it's important, very, very important, that we don't lose the identity of the club that is delivering this Speechcraft. It's important that we try as much as possible to focus on those participants, but the focus on those participants does not supersede the members' needs. The members have to be involved in every aspect as much as possible, like Patricia did elaborate there, in all aspects. When a participant sees that a member is actually involved and they're doing things for the club, it creates that environment where everyone helps each other and that this is the right place to be. There is opportunity for you also as a participant, also as a member, to grow. So we are co-creating basically an environment of learning.
Absolutely. So I have to. So when I did Speechcraft beginning of last year, that's exactly what I felt, and that's sort of one of the reasons for me signing up to become a member. It was the community spirit. It was the cheerleading aspect of the club, sort of the warmth, the friendliness, and sort of made me feel at home. And yes, still a member and enjoying it, and I'm here as well. So that's what encouraged me to stay and continue to also serve as part of the committee as well. So definitely club identity, yes, that definitely should shine through during the course as well.
Thank you very much. Let's see, Ruben. Ruben has been a participant and is now a member. Speechcraft participant is now a member. I'm looking for the things that made you, the things that really attracted you post Speechcraft to join in the club. I term it as aftercare. Mm-hmm. What is it in there that somebody should, any future coordinator or any future committee out there, any future club that wants to deliver Speechcraft, what are the things they should focus on? Some of the things they should focus on that will enable that person to convert from being a participant to a member?
Well, I think if you follow the whole program, first of all, you get a good taste of the club. There's always people willing to help you. So you have your guide, and then you may have a different mentor if you do decide to join up afterwards. But you're confident you're going to get the same sort of friendly help from that person because you've even met them before during the course itself. So it's pretty seamless to me, the going from being in part of Speechcraft to being a member and then getting the aftercare that you need to get you going on the pathway.
In terms of finding this information, say let's focus on information. In terms of finding the information, once you signed up for before signing up for Speechcraft, during Speechcraft, and after Speechcraft, where would you say you found the information besides within the club? Was it out there for you all over the place? I'm thinking info footprint here. Does it matter where you post? Does it matter how you disseminate this information?
Well, if you're saying how did during the course, there's obviously the Speechcraft portal, so that's part of you have the access to that. So that's full of really useful information that again probably would benefit members, longer term members who are just helping, attending the Speechcraft as helpers. So that is one of the main sources, and then obviously your guide is a huge source of help because your guide, even my guide was someone who was pretty new to the club himself. I'm not sure he came through Speechcraft, but he was the guide, and he basically was doing a level 1 kind of speech. Speechcraft is almost level 1, I would say, isn't it? It's equivalent, but you're doing it in a condensed time frame. So any questions I had, I could just WhatsApp him and he'd come back to me. So I felt fully supported throughout it.
Does the relationship matter?
What with the guide?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it does. I mean, you want whoever is a guide, you want them to be someone who's accessible, warm, which, to be honest, most members of Toastmasters are. It's almost a default. Everyone's been in that situation where you're totally new to public speaking, or very inexperienced. They've been through, they've definitely been through level 1, so they know what kind of things you're up against and they know how to guide you. So, I mean, I found my guide very, very helpful. Yeah, very and friendly and encouraging. Gave me great feedback, positive, constructive, but a lot of positivity as well.
I noticed Patricia and Adrian there put their hands up. If you like to interject very fast, whatever you want to say. Patricia first.
Okay, in terms of sort of sharing information, so we had WhatsApp groups as well. So we utilised that. We had one for the participants all together with the coordinators, and we had another one for the coordinators with the guides as well. So we're sharing information between the coordinators and the participants with sort of after each meeting, reconfirming what the homework is, as in preparing for your next speech, what the theme was, sharing any resources, so like speech outline templates, occasionally links to YouTube videos or Toastmaster article related to whatever the theme was for the next meeting. But be careful not to share too much information because it's information overload. So just be mindful of that, not share too much, but just a little bit of assistance each week will help sort of cement the ideas and the concepts.
Thank you. Adrian?
Yeah, I just want to comment on something Roban was saying about the level that Speechcrafters would reach by the end of the program. And maybe I can cover off a couple of questions in the chat at the same time. Now, you've got a 4-week Speechcraft program, you've got an 8-week Speechcraft program. In our club, we run the 4 week. At the end of 4 weeks, somebody would actually have completed most, if not all, most of it, almost all of level 1 of a Speechcraft pathway. And if they join, they can receive credit. The club can ask Toastmasters International to credit them for the speeches they've completed in Speechcraft. That's credited towards their level 1, because what you'll be doing as they complete speech projects, that's recorded against their Speechcraft profile on the Toastmasters International system. So yeah, they pretty much completed level 1. They're getting a full taste of the Toastmasters education program. We've never run the 8-week program, so I can't comment on where they are, but definitely they'll complete a pretty solid level 1 and get a fairly solid education by the time the 4 weeks are done.
Just before we go into questions, thank you very much, Adrian, for that. The definition of Speechcraft is it's a blended program. Participants come to the club and learn how to deliver speeches and evaluations, and actually do participate in delivering speeches and evaluations, and also things like table topics. But the one aspect that I found most participants tended to not shy away from, but ignore, is doing homework. On each individual's portal, there is homework for each participant. And as a coordinator, you have the ability to go and actually see if they've done that homework and actually pick up on where they haven't understood, whatever they haven't understood, and also get back, share this information with their guide so that the guide goes back to the participant and have a one-to-one session where they help them develop in these aspects where they're lagging behind. So that blended aspect is really something that is very, very crucial. It's important to follow it to the T and make sure that you're actually giving value to the participant, but also helping the guide develop in whatever way they have to develop. I noticed that Gallup has got a few questions out there. Shall we field those, Gallup?
Yeah, let me just quickly call them out just so they're clear. So we'll start with Massimo. Can a Speechcraft be run where every participant is a club member, so no non-members? And if so, what might an objective in doing so be?
I'll take that one. I mentioned at the beginning of this webinar that it's a membership building tool. As much as possible, have people who are new to Toastmasters, because let's remember the purpose of Speechcraft. It's all about building our membership numbers. So if you have people who are already Toastmasters, I'm struggling to see what is there for them to gain in that. And also, it doesn't go a long way towards the core principles of Toastmasters, i.e., you're now focusing on these individuals, 5 or 10, and to the detriment of the other individuals. What I'm driving at here is every member has to have an equal opportunity for stage time, if you like. So if these people have gone on and paid an extra for the bundle, and then, I don't know, it doesn't sit well with me. And I think because Speechcraft in itself says it's a membership building tool, that should be enough for us to understand where we should be going with this. Adrian, your hand is up.
Yeah, what I was going to say is I agree with Emmanuel. It's a membership building tool. And when you run Speechcraft, you're giving a lot of intensive intention to a small group of members, so a lot of people don't get space time for speech, which is why you want to encourage people to participate now. But what I would say is, if you have a club that is fairly new, you have maybe a small number of members, and you want to really give them a head start on I see nothing wrong with having, under those circumstances, running Speechcraft for those members. And then, of course, whether the cost of the Speechcraft bundles comes out of the club's coffers and we don't charge for it or not, that's a decision. That's a decision for the club. But I certainly would not, if you have a club that's well established, been running a long time, I wouldn't be inclined to run Speechcraft to run Speechcraft under those circumstances, because all the members have access to the entire Toastmasters International Education Program. So I'd probably do it if it's a very new club and I'm trying to, a small number of members, and I'm trying to give them a really push start. But again, as Emmanuel said, they have access to the whole education program, to the entire education program, and maybe we should keep it for as a membership building tool. And also, Speechcraft allows you to provide a service to the community, to give back to the community. Even if people don't want to join. So I said, I sit on the fence. If very new club, a handful of inexperienced members, possibly. Established club, no.
Right. My opinion would differ from Adrian's, of course. But this is again, it comes down to the nature of the club. One thing that I picked up on there is Speechcraft being used as something that shows the rest of the community that we are here as a club. That is a very, very important marketing tool. The club, Speakers of Croydon, has got this thing of delivering Speechcraft during January. January, why? Because you can aim for two things there. You aim to capturing the participants' emotions, the emotions of your hinterland. But also the second thing you aim for is every January, all of us have got a, what do they call it when you, New Year's resolution, yes. And this year you say, okay, this year I'm going to be a better speaker. This year I'm going to improve on my presentation skills. You're tying Speechcraft to that emotion, and you're catching your participants at a time when they really, really, really lean into those resolutions and try and act on them. That is why January works for us, but this is something that can be different depending on which club you belong to. Some clubs which are, for example, in areas where there are so many offices, it could be sometime during September, that window between summer and the fall, because people are getting new jobs, people are looking at promotions, people are looking, such things that are driving factors. Other clubs, it could be just beginning of summer, why wedding season is upon us. And therefore, people want to spruce up their skills on delivering speeches and things like that. So know your community before you actually go for this program and put together a marketing package. That's what I'm saying.
Emmanuel, got a couple of questions from Alexandria, if we could maybe quickly cover those. I think this one Adrian has already covered. When the Speechcraft sessions are finished, what level do the participants have? I believe it's a level 1 for 4 weeks and roughly a level 2 for 8 weeks. Is that correct?
I think it might be a slightly less. So I think for the 4-week course, the participants will deliver a speech in week 2, 3, and 4. So that will be the first 3 speeches of level 1. Off the top of my head, don't know if they get credit for the evaluation as well, because as part of level 1, you have to deliver an evaluation as well. But definitely for the first 3 speeches of level 1, they get to tick that off. So there might be maybe 1 or 2 other speeches left to deliver as part of level 1. So they make significant progress, faster than any person joining regularly Toastmaster, way faster rate. Yeah.
Thank you.
Typically, you'll be left with 2 speeches and an evaluation. Because remember, the first speech is just about 3 minutes of speaking. Then it's when you go to the second speech during Speechcraft that you actually deliver a full 5 to 7 minutes and half a minute thing speech. So it's typically two speeches that you can potentially knock off.
Okay. And thank you, Patricia and Emmanuel. And what does it cost the participants to be in Speechcraft?
Adrian?
Yeah, that comes down to the club. I was saying earlier that one of the activities you'd be doing is costing the event, because you'd have, maybe in the case of our club, we have additional hall hire cost to incur. You need to buy bundles, there's cost for refreshments. Are you providing stationery? Which is why I was saying earlier, you want to start 4 to 12 weeks out, because you need to cost the event. How much is it going to cost the club to deliver the event? We said it's not a profit-making exercise, but I would say that the club needs to recover its cost. The other thing that I would say, apart from the cost, which you're passing on to the participants, would be also pricing it at a level that's not prohibitive, but to make people recognize that this is something of value that they need to take seriously. The answer to those questions about the costing and the price point comes back to the club. But as a decision, it's part of the planning process, and you need to have that conversation early. Yeah, so back to where I was saying, it comes back to the club, and you probably want to be making that about 8 to 12 weeks before you actually deliver the event, because it's going to drive everything you do. Maybe take, for example, publicity. Are you going to use your existing social media channels, or are you going to incur additional costs to that? So straight answer is, it's down to the club to cost the event and decide how they're going to price it.
The treasurer is key throughout the process as well. So they know what it costs for the hall hire and refreshments, what the budget is. So they know, well, if they expect X number of participants, this is what we'll need to charge to break even. And also the treasurer is also involved in terms of, for those that roll on to become full members, we need to have what is the price they're going to pay. So we need to have all of this upfront as well. The treasurer is key throughout the process.
Let me also drop in there a slight curveball, a slight bit of warning. I know of clubs in other, not in D91, in other jurisdiction districts, which are fantastically wealthy. And they have this thing where they think, okay, we'll deliver Speechcraft to our community free of charge. That's not a good idea. People attach value to something when they do pay for it. If your club can afford to roll out Speechcraft, having paid all of it, please ask the participants to pay, even if it's £1. They'll attach value to the fact that they've paid something to it. But if you just have an open door and say, hey, come in, here's Speechcraft for you, you can do this, do that. You'll get a participant come in for 1 day, the first session, and don't come in for another. And then they come in for another and they say, hey, presto, I think I've done it. And it's not how it works. It's an intense program. You need to be there for every aspect of it.
In addition to what Emmanuel was saying, even if the club can afford to cover the entire cost of Speechcraft, I would at the very least charge something equivalent to the cost of the bundles that we pay for from Toastmasters International, because you want to price it at a point where, where the person knows they're paying something for the value, but it's also not prohibitive. So I agree with you, man. That's a cost at least to the price of the bundles, of the Speechcraft bundle we have to pay for from Toastmasters International.
Gallup, do you have any other questions for us?
Yeah, just a couple more that's appeared on the chat. So does Speechcraft, do the Speechcraft participants use pathways or something else?
So Speechcraft is a standalone educational program, but it takes you through the aspects of speaking, of preparing yourself to be a better communicator and presenter that are already within Toastmasters. When it's after you've finished Speechcraft and actually signed up as a member that you actually now go onto a pathway which you've chosen depending on the questionnaire that you've done, or you've just simply picked a path that is attractive to you. Speechcraft is a standalone program. And then Pathways is also a standalone program. Pathways is for members. Speechcraft is for people who are just coming to learn how to be learning how to be good communicators, basically.
And also Speechcraft has its own portal.
Mm.
So a separate portal with a separate login.
It essentially looks like Pathways, but just probably less information, but it's got the look and feel of a Pathway, but it's a separate portal, separate login from what the Pathways is.
And the final question on the chat, I can see, how do you find people for Speechcraft?
Oh, this is something that Ruben will be doing in a few weeks' time. First of all, your footprint matters. What do you use in your club to reach out to people? Most especially guests. How do you attract guests to your club? Is it Meetup? Is it Facebook? Is it what models do you use? Is it just word of mouth? All these avenues of communication matter. So when you've decided as a club to run a Speechcraft program, it's imperative and important that you use all these avenues that the club normally uses to reach out to potential participants. There's no harm in extending your info footprint and just take on something new. But remember, there's a cost implication, especially when you have to pay for that platform to reach out to potential Speechcrafters. So I would say to play it safe in terms of look after your finances, stick to the avenues where you already attract most guests, and just put information out there as early as possible, typically 6 weeks before, and say, hey, we are going to run a Speechcraft in month X. Yeah. So if you're interested, this is what Speechcraft is all about. If you're interested, this is how much you'll have to pay for it. This is how long it will be, it will run for, and come join us. Let's see how this is done. And you put as much information out there that is not overwhelming, but at the same time, enough for somebody to make a informed decision that, you know what, I can go and do this program with these people. And so the other thing is be as transparent as possible. If you're going to have a blend of online and in-person, put it out there. If you're going to have an in-person experience throughout, put it out there. My advice is, without trying to insist on clubs, is try as much as possible to have both, because, hey, we work in a hybrid manner nowadays. You're sometimes online, sometimes you are in person. So it matters that people have the right skills, all-round skills.
I have to say that I came to Speechcraft through word of mouth. So I met somebody at a sort of small business networking, and she talked about sort of delivering workshops and sort of being a better speaker. And she was already an existing Toastmaster. And she said, oh, we've got a Speechcraft course starting in a month's time. Why don't you join? Why don't you attend? So using word of mouth, encouraging friends and family or colleagues at work, because you're already a member, you already know the benefits of that Toastmasters bring. So inviting people you know along. And then there's also your existing guest, the guest mailing list as well. So maybe target a few of those people to come along, that ones that's shown some interest previously. So those are good touch points as well.
Can I also just add that a Speechcraft place is actually a very good present.
Very good, yes. The present.
It's a wonderful present. We've gifted someone before, and they are to this day very thankful. Do you have any questions? Any other questions for us, Galo?
I don't see any more on the chat, and I don't see anyone with any hands up. Does anyone else want to raise a question?
Any other questions, guys?
I would say, I'm just going to put a link in the chat. I would say testimonies are powerful. One of the things we did was part of the social, it was have people who've been through Speechcraft do short videos explaining what the experience was like, what they got from it, and that went up into Instagram. And Ruba and Patricia, did that generate inquiries?
I think that was before my time. I think I know the videos you're talking about. I mean, I came through it from, I think I did an internet search, and I just did Croydon speaking, and it came up. So it'd be interesting to see, because obviously I'm going to be looking at this going forward. So it'd be interesting. I should actually ask, we should ask the other members how this, I don't know, this batch that just came in with me, how they found it. I've never actually asked that.
So I've got two questions that have just popped up. One, let's deal with the first one last, but let's talk about the bundles, Speechcraft bundles. So typically the bundles have got 5 participants to them. There is nothing that stops you from having multiple bundles. And there's nothing that stops you from running the different bundles in tandem. The only thing that you really must do is each bundle is attached to one coordinator. So you have to have more than one coordinator if you've got more than one bundle. So again, this is an issue that you have to arrive at from a point of, from your marketing, the results of your marketing processes out there. If you've marketed and find yourself with more than 5 participants, then it's advisable to get a second bundle and aim for 10 participants or just under 10. Speakers of Croydon normally does 10. And what you do there is you have 2 coordinators. The 2 coordinators will be running this course together. One can be looking after the online aspect of things on one given day, delivery day, while the other person is looking after the in-person aspect of things, and they swap. But at all times, these coordinators will be communicating how things are going and what is the learning process and how best they can help the participants grow. So have I answered that question for you, Chima? Have I?
Yes, let's see here. So we talked about there's a digital and then there's also a non-digital. Is that correct?
No, it's all digital now, but you can opt to have it at to have the bundle sent to you in non-digital. However, there's a cost implications for that.
Okay, so they said they charge $10 per person, and you get 5, so that's $50 is what you're paying for.
Per bundle.
Yes, or per bundle. And then we were talking about clubs. So I am District 39. I'm Club Growth Director.
Yeah.
So what I'm looking at is you guys were talking about clubs that are in areas that are smaller. And so we have clubs that they don't have their 20. So they're brand new. They're still trying to charter. This would be a good approach to get them involved in this process to have Speechcraft, because when they get done doing their icebreaker, now they don't have a lot going on. So if we involved in them in Speechcraft, that's one for them. But then another group is coming in that we advertise, like on Meetup or something, that says, okay, we're going to have this Speechcraft program. We insert it into this low new club. And then that way we can get up our 20 people, get them through the process, and then you're done. So the price that I've heard from other people, other districts, is about 150, 160 bucks. And that basically includes your first year in your Toastmasters being a member. And that's how you, I guess you would call it another way, it's a hook. It's a hook to get people in, to get them involved.
Mm-hmm.
Like what you guys were saying, if you do 20 bucks, a lot of people are going to not take you seriously. They may consider this as, well, you know, it's not really a viable education because 20 bucks is, to me, it may sound like it's nothing. And I'll say, oh, I don't want to do this, but it's 150 bucks. And then I go, oh, this might have some value here. And then on top of it, it says in the ad that you can even make it 6 months. You can make it 6 months, and so that includes your $60, your $20, and if they're somewhere in the middle and they need to pay their the other fee for it too. But anyway, then there's a little bit of money left over into their pot to where they can put other things in, like club dues and things like that, to just get the club going. But I think it's a really great tool when it comes to the clubs that, for me as a club growth director, that just are 10 and they're struggling to get the last 10, and say, hey, let's throw this out there, put it on Eventbrite, put it on Meetup, put it on Nextdoor Neighbor app. If you go to Toastmasters International's website, they have a bunch of marketing materials for Speechcraft. So you can fill it out and then you can just go and start using it. Thank you.
So my advice to you there, I picked up a few things, but we're running short on time here. My advice to you there is, if I may be presumptuous, is
Sure.
Please leave it clean. Leave it as clean as possible. Do Speechcraft on its pricing on its own, and then membership on its own. You can have a sort of early bird deal where somebody is transitioning from a Speechcrafter to a member, but leave it as clean as possible. That way, you know where everything is. But if you make bundles, then the chances of muddling up the waters are really high, really, really high. So yeah, that's what I'd advise.
What I'd say very quickly
Yes.
is that one of the things we did in our club, and again, your pricing needs to decide whether or not it's viable, is that somebody came in Speechcraft, there was a price. And I would say it's a price that makes it not prohibitive, but makes it like, take it seriously. If they join, one of the things we said is, okay, if you paid X amount to come in Speechcraft, we will discount that from the membership you pay for your first 6 months for your first year. Right? Or if you join for a year, we will discount your Speechcraft. So you can offer deals like that. As Emmanuel will say, keep it clear. On one side, there's Speechcraft, they pay for that, and then we have another conversation if they decide to join.
I like that.
Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. I feel like here I've got to run through very fast what we've covered. We only have about 5 minutes. One, we've covered the planning process, and we've said that, in summary, we've said that every member, the committee leads on planning, but the whole membership of the club is involved in the planning and delivery process. And you're looking at on the committee, you're looking at the committee deciding, leadership committee, therefore deciding that, one, they're going to have a Speechcraft from day one, put it in the calendar, deciding on the marketing avenues, deciding on the pricing. So putting the program together. The second aspect, in summary, is clarity of course materials and participant engagement. That is during the delivery processes. Who are your participants? How many are they? How many? That determines how many bundles you want, and then on the day of delivery or during the course of delivery, whether or not you have one coordinator or more than one coordinators. And then aftercare, which is very important. This is the part where the participants transition from participants to members. It is important what kind of ambience they walk into when when they walk in to do Speechcraft. It's important you as a club show up in your true colors, your best true colors, by the way, not just your true colors, madness and all, but your best true colors, so that you can attract these people to come in as your members. Remember, Speechcraft is a membership building tool, and at no point is it a fundraising tool for the club scoffers. That's it from me, and that's it from the panel. Thank you so much for all of you coming to this webinar. And District 91 has got so many other webinars that it is organizing. Please look at the District 91 calendar. But for now, that's it from the Speechcraft panel. Over to you, Gallo.
Yes, so thank you very much. Gina, I know that you had one quick question. Maybe we'll try and cover it in 30 seconds. Is there a 2-day intensive version of Speechcraft?
No, is a short answer. The long answer is Speechcraft provides a 4, 6, and 8-week program. So my advice again is do not reinvent the wheel.
Thank you. Thank you very much to our panel lead and all of our speakers today. I think everyone found it extremely informative. On the chat, we've got links for people to provide feedback. It would be wonderful for you to complete that to kind of, in the spirit of Toastmasters, feedback is how we grow. And also we have a number of other webinars coming up that are also fantastic and educational for you to join. On that note, we'll be bringing this webinar to a close now. So I think we'll stay on for a little bit as well, but Zoom Master, you can end the recording.